Right, hello guys and welcome to another episode of the TubeMix review show, and this is episode 5, so there's only a few more episodes to go. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so that's 1, 6, 1, 7, 2, 8, 3, 9, 4, 10, 5, so 5 episodes to go. I've really enjoyed this first run and hope you have too. Tonight I'm going to be reviewing an actual film as opposed to a documentary. And I've chosen this film because I consider it to be an important film which marks many milestones, some an end of an era, some a beginning, and it's one of my favourite non-Pixar Disney animated movies. It's an underrated movie. I think one of the few direct-to-video movies that is fantastic. The voice cast is pretty much fantastic, and it's a really good film. And yeah, I'll just share with you why I think this film is going to be is one of my favourites and why you should watch it. Right, so the film I'm going to be reviewing today is the 1997, as I said, 1997 direct-to-video film Pooh's Grand Adventure: The Search for Christopher Robin. Now, it does mark a milestone in the fact that it's the first Pooh movie, feature-length, to not be a compilation, because the first full-length Winnie the Pooh movie was a compilation, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, because originally they were featurettes, starting with Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree in 1966, Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day in 1968, Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2 in 1974, and Winnie the Pooh and the Day for Eeyore in 1983. So yeah, this is sort of marks a milestone in the Winnie the Pooh Disney franchise, for that reason, because it's a movie which it's not a compilation, it's a proper movie, if you get what I mean. Originally when he bought the rights in 1961, Walt Disney wanted to make a full-length feature film, but he was actually quite smart, because he didn't know, obviously, because Winnie the Pooh is British originally, A.A. Milne, and because Disney is American, he didn't know. He didn't know how American audiences were going to sort of react to British characters, or British characters being voiced by American actors. Yeah, or British, well, you get what I mean. Yeah, he was really quite smart there. And yeah, Pooh's Grand Adventure is, yeah, it's a proper feature, as I said. It's not a featurette, and it's not a compilation. And yeah, so that's not just the first. I mean, for some of the cast, it's a milestone. For some, Jim Cummings, it's his feature-length debut as Winnie the Pooh, having started voicing him for the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh and a couple of TV specials, Winnie the Pooh and Christmas Soup, which I think is counted as the finale, the official finale to the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and the Halloween 1996 special Boo to You Too, Winnie the Pooh. So it's Jim Cummings' first feature-length debut as the bear with very little brain. It's the final feature-length bow for the great Paul Winchell as Tigger, who gives a brilliant performance, and despite his voice starting to sadly fade and decline, but nevertheless Winchell does give a fantastic performance, as does Cummings. It's the complete debut, I think, for Andre Stockter. I think that's how you pronounce his name, or Stoker. I don't know. He has a quite complicated name. He steps into the shoes of the late Hal Smith as Al, So really, it really is sort of a milestone for many reasons, particularly in cast and stuff like that. So you see, I wanted to choose a movie which I felt, is an important movie. A movie that marks lots and lots of endings and beginnings. Fellow sort of people in the cast who would go on to be for a couple of Winnie the Pooh projects. David Warner, the narrator, he would go on to narrate the 2 television specials which followed this film. Winnie the Pooh Thanksgiving in 1998 and Winnie the Pooh A Valentine for You in 1999. This would also mark the debut of Brady Brum, I'm not sure if I pronounced his name right either, and Frankie J. Gasco as the speaking and singing voices of Christopher Robin respectively, and they would come back for A Valentine for You and Thanksgiving as well. So a lot of the same people that on this movie returned for that, and and Pooh's Grand Adventure, it's a really good movie. Now, if you've seen The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, you will know that Christopher Robin goes to school basically, and it's shown in the last scene. Well, this is sort of, to date, one of the only Winnie the Pooh films to be a true sequel in terms of story terms. Because the other Winnie the Pooh movies, such as the Tigger movie, the Tigger movie, Piglet's Big Movie, Pooh's Heffalump movie, they were sequels in the film sense, but that doesn't mean that they were, but they weren't in story terms. But this is the one to sort of expand what The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh started, basically about the whole idea of Christopher Robin going to school, and I should have said spoilers. Well, it's kind of hard to, not do an in-depth review without spoilers. So, well, you could be like me, you could watch the film, but to see how the director has executed it, or if not, just avoid some of this video. Well, we'll see anyway. So yes, and basically the characters go on a quest basically because Christopher Robin leaves Pooh a note saying that he'd gone to school and be back soon, something like that. But Pooh Bear, of course, well, what does he love? He loves honey, and honey gets stuck to the notes, which means they can't read it, and then they decide to take it to Owl's house, and Owl decides it's the eye of the school, the Skulosaurus. So it really is a bit of a mix-up in true Winnie the Pooh fashion, but it's a really good movie, and a lot of people have wondered why it is direct-to-video, because, well, I think, and a lot of people I think do seem to share the same view, it's direct-to-video not because of the quality, it definitely is theatrical quality in terms of the songs and the voice acting and the animation, but it's because it's dark in a lot of places. It's dark in lighting, it's dark in tone, there's some dark imagery, like schools and stuff in The Adventure is a Wonderful Thing, particular musical number. So yeah, that's why it was direct to video, but I certainly think this is, along with Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas, I think this is definitely a very, very good, one of the best direct-to-video films that Disney produced. It was produced by Disney Toon Studios, although I think then they were known as Disney movie tunes or something. I can't remember off the top of my head. But excuse me. So yeah, it was produced by them, who of course would go on to do a lot of the Winnie the Pooh sequels afterwards. You know, as in the Tigger movie, and yeah. So yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed this movie, and you know, the voice cast is all brilliant. You know, and 3 standout performers have to be. One is Jim Cummings, because he, as well as being Pooh's sort of happy self and him making his full-length debut, it's the thing that it's the thing that he basically gets to show Pooh's vulnerable and scared side, and a side we've not really seen to Pooh before particularly. So that's really great, and his sweet performance of the number Wherever You Are. I'll come back to that in a second, because that is one of the best songs, I think, from the film. And the songs are really, really good, actually. They're really strong. So most of them, quite a lot of them actually, are in the spirit of the Sherman Brothers, who wrote the music to the original Pooh featurettes, which were made into the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. So it's in the spirit of them, and it's really, really, the songs are really good. So Jim Cummings definitely is one of the top performances. Then the other top performance would be Andre Stockcher as Al, because it's his first time. It's his first time, you know, ever doing Al. So yeah, that's really, really great to see. And then lastly, to the great Paul Winchell. Now, despite his voice fading and you know, on declining, I mean, it's just about on the verge of just about bearable, because it's really sad to hear that obviously people's voices do change with age, but to hear Paul's voice decline like this is it is quite sad, actually, and at times it is hard to listen to, but nevertheless he for the same reason as Jim Cummings gives us Tigger's more vulnerable side. So, you know, when he's not his warm bouncing normal self, you know. So yeah, those are the 3 that really stand out, but I think all the cast really did very, very well. Ken Sansom is just brilliant as Rabbit. Peter Cullen is well, you know, he's perfect as Eeyore, and you know, just show him the dull side, and Ken Sansom obviously is Rabbit, being the control freak. That's the thing about this film. If you're concerned about the characters, despite going on like a quest in a darker film, the characters remain to their true personalities. Rabbit is still a control freak, and you know, complains about getting ready for harvest and, you know, his garden. Tigger's still bouncing. Eeyore's still in a dull mood. And Piglet is still scared of everything. So and Pooh, of course, likes honey, and Al likes to talk a lot. So the characters are definitely still in their right personalities. So that's that would be something that you would really be glad to hear. Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're worried about that, like I said, no, the characters are all perfect. And Carter Crocker, who, isn't that a great name, isn't it? Carter Crocker, who worked on The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh on the script, along with director Carl Giers, they've done a really good job here. And you know what? As a fan of New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh now, it's really made this movie really realise how good this movie is, because as a fan of the writing and the stuff from the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which Carl Giers and Carter Crocker worked on, and a lot of the same team actually from the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, well, it's really good to see them. Really good to see them. What was I saying? I forgot. Really good to. Oh, sorry. I seem to completely forgot what I was saying. Never mind. I do apologise. We'll continue on. I love hearing the golden tones of David Warner as the narrator, even though the narrator doesn't get to sort of interact with the characters, and he doesn't interfere with the story, which I always enjoy when the narrator sort of gets involved. David Warner still does a brilliant job, and he's just got a wonderful voice, for being the narrator. I mean, Sebastian Cabot and David Ogden Stiers, and John Cleese, they've both done great jobs. And John Hurt, even though he was underused in the Tigger movie, I just love his voice. But yeah, David Warner was really good as the narrator, and yeah, it was a really good idea, casting choice, to have him. The music is great, not just the songs but the score. Carl Johnson, I think, he gets it right when it's a scene full of suspense. He gets the music just spot on. It's absolutely brilliant. And Carl would later return for Piglet's Big Movie, and he would also return for the 2 television specials which followed it. And he's just a fantastic composer. So really good. Really good having Carl Johnson on board. And the songs, as I said, written by, I think, Michael Abbott and Sarah Weeks, I think. Or is it Michael Weeks and Sarah Abbott? I'm not. Let me just see. I'm pretty sure. Right. Oh, no. Soundtracks, here we go. Yes, Michael Abbott and Sarah Weeks. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 songs. Discounting whether you are getting a reprise at the end. So Forever and Ever. That's the first song, and it's sung by Frankie J. Galasso as Christopher Robin and Jim Cummings as Winnie the Pooh. It's a really charming song, just really saying, Christopher Robin wants to ideally be in the 100-acre wood with his best friend forever and ever, and Pooh shares the same thing, so it does exactly what it says on the tin. Adventure is a wonderful thing, which is one of the numbers I think that is really in the spirit of the Sherman Brothers, and it's performed by Andre Stockjer as Al, and you can hear I think he's having a blast here. It's just a really great number, really funny, really hilarious. And he really does a great job here. It's well done, Andre Stockjer. Considering this is his first time, or first big time certainly, voicing Al, he did a really wonderful job. If it says so, well, who have a guess? Which character do you think of that number If you said rabbit, 10 points to you. Yes. Basically, you know, sort of, well, it's sort of rabbit all over, isn't it? You know, which do you believe, your eyes or an actual map? Yeah, Rabbit just wanted to prove that he's a brilliant leader, basically, and Ken Sampson does a wonderful job at it, and it's quite funny how some of the lyrics actually relate to, well, if you know, they could be used for, you know, fake news and what you see in the press and clickbait, actually. I mean, well, if you change some of the lyrics, I mean, you know, never trust your ears, your nose, your eyes. Oh yeah, a thought's not you think till it's printed in ink. If it says so, so it is. So, and that's another one that I think is in spirit of the Sherman Brothers as well. Then we have Wherever You Are, which I said gets reprised at the end. But first, Jim Cummings gives a rather lovely performance as Winnie the Pooh. It's really, really lovely to hear and quite moving. And Rabbit actually watches, I think, him sort of singing it and standing on top of the tree. It's a really, really moving moment, and it's out of all the chaos and thought of the craziness and, you know, all that type of stuff. It's really, really really interesting. It's a really, really great moment, and it just, you know, a film has to take a back seat to allow the audience to breathe, and it does what it's meant to do, basically. Everything is right. This is the final song. Well, me and Joe Will sort of talked about this. If you're a fan of musicals and you saw, well, in every Broadway musical you have a waltz song, don't you? Well, you kind of get that with Wherever You Are, because Pooh is wishing for Christopher Robin to be back with him, sort of. Well, actually, Forever and Ever, I suppose, could be counted as a waltz song as well. But this is sort of, you know, that time. If you imagine this as a musical, right? If you're watching this in the theatre, the characters are celebrating. Nothing could dampen their spirits, you know. They found their best friend, and let's give the audience, you know, to clap and stand up. It's that type of number, and it's quite a good number. And I suppose it is a little bit Sherman Brothers-esque, actually, in terms of the words and the pace and stuff. Probably less than, obviously, If It Says So and Adventure Is a Wonderful Thing, because those are the two really Sherman Brothers, certainly Sherman Brothers more-esque songs. And Paul Winchell didn't sing for Tigger because, well, according to IMDb and according to TV tropes, and I'm not quite sure whether this is true, although if it is, I think Paul Winchell should have definitely, if he insisted in not singing and knew that his voice was getting weaker, he shouldn't have really had any complaints when Disney let him go in the production of the Tigger movie in 1998. And yeah, so Jim Cummings did the singing, but Tigger doesn't really have any musical numbers, so it wouldn't really be the end of the world if Tigger didn't sing, really. But, well, I suppose it's like, you know, more the characters are singing. You don't want to leave anyone out. You know, Tigger is the one really to, sing, sort of. So, yeah. Same for Piglet. Steve Schatzberg, who did Piglet in a couple of video games and filled in for John Fedler. I don't know. He has a really weird name. And he sang for him in Boo Choo 2, Winnie the Pooh, did his singing voice, and does Piglet's singing voice again. And for some reason, they decided to have Eeyore singing as well, and have Dylan Watson doing the singing voice. Although I'm not really sure. You don't need Eeyore singing, so I think they could have not done that. There is one major criticism with this, and it's how the movie begins, because there's no Walt Disney Pictures logo. It's a really cheap logo, simple text on a black background. It's, the good thing about the Walt Disney Pictures logo is it tells you the film is about to begin. If you, for example, get your popcorn and the film is starting. But this, it just sort of leaves you feeling empty at the beginning. And I'm really not sure why that. I think they could have done a lot better, on the trailer and for 2006 when the DVD they actually made a sort of official logo for it. But it really is, it really does let the film down, because the beginning is meant to sort of get you ready, get you excited, but it doesn't. It doesn't. It's a really low-key opening. It doesn't even have a live-action opening. It doesn't have a book, which I think is a key successful ingredient to the Winnie the Pooh formula. Although, if you're saying they maybe wanted to step away from the formula, really. In that case, well, they've succeeded. But yeah, the opening leaves me feeling quite weird and quite empty. It wouldn't be too much, would it, to ask to have the Walt Disney Pictures logo, and then, I don't know, make a nice logo appear while in the scene, and don't fade to black with the logo either. It's a weird, it makes it seems like it's a trailer for it. So yeah, although that's just my view. Well, we'll but obviously, you're allowed your view. Of course, everyone is. Yep. And let's see, what else? That's the only bad thing, and it is rather weird also that in the credits they decide to show the title again at the end, although even that little sort of kind of logo could have been, well, yeah, I don't, well, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one, I think, and I'm not sure really, but it is a great film, as I said, and there's great. What's really interesting is A.A. Milne is credited for the screenplay, I think, along with Carter Crocker and Carl Giers. Well, they use a quote from A.A. Milne, wherever they go and whatever happens on the way, somewhere in that enchanted place on top of a forest, a boy and a bear will always be playing, which is from the end of Milne's actual books, and that was used in the last scene of the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh as well. So that could be why Milne is credited for that, for writing part of the screenplay. Otherwise, if it wasn't that, considering he's been dead for years, he would have done very well to manage to help with the screenplay for this, wouldn't he? So yeah. all in all, I think this is probably given. I would probably give it. Oh, probably. Oh, this is tough because the opening leaves you feeling empty and quite weird. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. It's a great movie, but the beginning really lets it down, and you don't want the beginning to let you down. You want the beginning to excite you, to build you up. And it's really a shame. They could have put more effort into that. But yeah, that's just my view. But yeah, each to their own view. And yeah, I personally think that Paul Winchell should have decided after this movie he should have bowed out because, I think he should have won an award. He won a Grammy for what I think is one of his worst performances vocally for A Valentine for You, which I just, that baffles me because I think Winchell's voice is slightly stronger, just going weaker, but just about better, and does a far better performance in this than A Valentine for You. But what do I know? Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and this is a thing that you don't really see in movies actually these days. A director also writing the screenplay and also being a producer on it. Well, I don't think you could say Carl Shears didn't have any involvement in this whatsoever, can you? When he's producing it, directing it, and helping with the script. But do you know what? We know we're in good hands because if you like New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, then Carl and Carter do a fantastic job, and the animation style and the script, it does feel very New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh-esque, definitely. Some could say it's the finale of the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, although, I'm not sure, really. Maybe, Wikipedia seems to think so, but I don't know. I personally think that A Valentine for You, sort of, given that it shows scenes from the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh and this film, is more of a finale. And A Valentine for You, you do wonder actually what the purpose of that, because that is literally just a lighter version of this story. It's an utter waste of time and of existence. Well, I don't know. Well, it's a crazy world, and there's been some crazy movies out there. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. If you want to, like, share, comment, and subscribe to the TubeMix channel. Tell me what you thought of Pooh's Grand Adventure: The Search for Christopher Robin. Do you agree with me? Do you think that Paul Winchell should have bowed out? Do you think this is the best one of the best Disney direct-to-video films, or do you think it's not? Do you think it's the series finale of the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh? Let me know what you think. Feel free to at the comments down below. Right, guys, that's me done. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for episode 6, which I think is going to be Frank and Ollie, I reckon. That's going to be episode 6. And then, probably, I definitely want to review Toy Story, because again, that's my favourite Pixar film, but also it's an important film for many reasons as well. Thank you guys for watching.